bet anywhere with TVG.
And there's the champion as she makes her way to the saddling paddock for her 6-year-old debut. Beholder, last seen here at Santa Anita in the Grade 1 Zenyatta on September 26th, a year ago, as that was her final preparation in expectation of making a start against the Triple Crown winner in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It did not materialize, but here she is today, kicking off another campaign. Sportsmanship from her connections, Richard Mandela, B. Wayne Hughes, and the Spendthrift Farm, and Gary Stevens, all bringing her back for this year and hopefully a showdown with California Chrome not too far on the horizon. But this is the first step back, Simon. Today, she makes a return engagement in the Adoration, a race that she has won before, and certainly a race she is more than just expected to win, but she's expected to win quite easily.
Yeah, this was her coming out party last year, first start of the year. And she is the defending champion with that 3 3/4 length victory last year. And yeah, she's supposed to win here, even if she's not 100% fit, which I'm sure she's not off the layoff. Although typical Richard Mandela trainer has a string of solid works, including a mile workout, which nowadays you don't see very often. But Mandela does that with his horses that are coming back off the shelf. She'll be ready to run, and they're looking just for a nice, easy introduction back to the races.
Let's give you a nice, easy introduction to the odds of this race by showing you prices from the last one. How about that?
Perfect.
Race number 4 is now official. Liam the Charmer made quick and easy work of this bunch. $4.40. Your $2 win wager return. Legal authority Bombard round out the top 3. Super 8943 paid $85. So the pick 3, $28. A formful start to the afternoon.
No question about that. This is a well-bred son of Smart Strike out of that great mare, bred or owned by Ron McAnally, Charm the Giant. She's thrown a lot of good runners, and this one was bred by Ron and his wife Deborah. They sold for $500,000. Mr. and Mrs. William Warren Jr., the winning owners. Well done, 894.
Now it's time for our feature event this afternoon at Santa Anita. The Adoration Stakes, Grade 3 event, 6 figures, $100,000 on the line. Mile and 16th the distance, and 1 to 9. Those odds aren't going to budge. Beholder is an absolute cinch here, but it's about more than just the race. It's about the campaign. At 6, she's still this good. We've said a couple times on the show now. How many trainers could have had her a champion age 2, back at age 3, distaff winner at age 4, come back at age 5, champion again, and then at age 6, still be expected to be this good? What is it about Richard Mandela that enables him to do this?
Well, he's patient. He does the right thing by the horse, and that's what you got to do. And he's able to do it because he has a good ownership group behind him as well. That's very important because most of the time, a mare like this wouldn't still be in training. She'd be off to the breeding shed. She's too valuable, and she would have been bred. But hats off to the ownership group for keeping her in training. Look, the matchup didn't happen with American Pharaoh in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. She's not a great shipper. She's had some issues with the lungs, and when horses fly, those issues can kind of rear their ugly head. So this year with the Breeders' Cup based here in California, hopefully she'll stay here locally, and we'll see her in the Classic. What a matchup that could be. Chrome, maybe Nyquist, and her eventually. I'm looking way down the line, but Beholder, should come back here in the Adoration, who won the Breeders' Cup distaff, by the way, for David Hoffman's back in 2003.
Adoration opens up now, 2.5 lengths on the field, and Lady Tack is giving her cue now. Ella Love driving on the outside. Ella Love is running in second. Lady Tack down to her inside, races in third, and Sightseek is in the midst of her rally, but she's toiling 5 lengths from the lead. Got Puck goes under the whip as the field turns for home, chasing Adoration. Adoration comes off the turn, running on strongly, leading by 2.5 lengths. Ella Love is giving chase in second. Lady Tack sputtering down toward the inside. Got Pucko, too much to do. Sightseek, not today, and they're coming down to the wire, and it's going to be a wire-to-wire tour de force by Adoration and Pat Valenzuela.
One of the high water marks of her career, Adoration, honored here today with the stakes race named in her honor. Beholder will have a slew of racetracks fighting to have a stakes race named in her honor. There's a look at her. Talk about her physical appearance and what kind of a presence she commands.
I mean, she's a great athlete. She's classic looking, very elegant, great mind on her. Look at her walking out there. She's been off for a while, 6 years old now, knows what's coming up in front of her in the next 5-10 minutes, and she just makes a great appearance. Big, long, lengthy stride.
What's the makeup of a mare like this? I mean, you talk about the great ones in our game, and she deserves to be compared to every single one of them with what she's done on the track. But you think about her compared to an Azeri, or compared to a Zenyatta, or compared to these great distaffers. What is it about her that sets her apart?
I think her stride, when she moves, she's very fluid. I mean, look, you talk about American Pharoah, and I'm not just saying this even before he won the Triple Crown, anyone, because he's one of the best moving horses I've ever seen. Gets over the ground effortlessly, just got a fluid gait. And I think she's the same way. When she's in high gear, she just moves so smoothly and got a great way of going. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And specifically with filly, well, good horses in general, a great sound mind. That's the key. I think good fillies always tend to be a little quirky, like Zenyatta was. She did her own thing, and you got to let them be themselves a little bit, be a horse a little bit, especially with fillies. But she's got a great mind. She really does. I mean, look at her out there on the track, back of the post parade now, just behaving perfectly.
Here's a look at the rest of the field for the Adoration. Moyo Honey at 25-1 for Patty Gallagher. This horse has not been seen since 15-length drubbing in the Santa Margarita, where she was last in that bunch. Prior to that, she had some decent form. She seems to be on an every other pattern. The good news is today would be an every, not the other.
Exactly, and those, unfortunately, those two others were in graded stakes where she performed poorly. But today, I think she could rebound back here off the left to get a piece of it. That's what they're looking for. If you can see the race to Beholder, it's important to get graded stakes placing for some of these fillies and mares. All-Star Bub, the Keeneland grad, the 2 for Jerry Hollendorfer, finished 4th last time out in a turf race, goes back to the main track here.
She's Ready is 45-1. They're all at ridiculous odds. The second choice in this field is 16-1 because of the inordinate amount of money coming in on Beholder. Back in the Academy, be tough to get her there at 70-1.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's coming from way out of it, and she's got a tall task in front of her trying to run down Beholder. And his sheer pleasure at 16-1. She's got a shot to maybe run up for second. And Martin Garcia-Abor comes off a nice win in the state-bred race last time out.
And there she is, the champion Beholder, back on track. The first time we've seen her in a race since last year's Zenyatta. How does she look, Simon?
She looks phenomenal. Look at it. She's carrying good condition. She's going to improve out of this race, even though Richard Mandela's got a plenty fit enough here. But, I mean, she just looks phenomenal, carrying good flesh. Her hair coat is laying down. That's the things you look for. I always say, a horse tells you on the inside how they're looking on the outside. That's because they can't talk to you. So if they're doing well on the inside, they'll be shining on the outside. And she looks great.
As we go back to Santa Anita, 4 minutes away from the Adoration, all eyes on Beholder, making her 2016 debut. And the only horse in my lifetime that I can compare her to is Azeri. That's about the only horse. And Simon, you could comment on this more than any, being an Alan Paulson horse. Similar sort of horses, they would just run their competition into the ground.
Yeah, I actually trained Azeri before she ever made her first start. I lost her 4 weeks before she broke her maiden. And I tell you, in her early training, Mike, she always showed so much talent. She put away 4-year-old and 5-year-old racehorses when she was a 2-year-old in the morning in workouts, easily.
Let's check in with Brittany Urton.
The absolute pleasure of being joined by B. Wayne Hughes of Spendthrift Farm as he sends out his champion Beholder in the Grade 3 Adoration Stakes, her 6-year-old debut. Now, at one point in time, did you decide, okay, I'm going to keep her in training as a 6-year-old?
After the race at Del Mar, where she impressed everybody, so I said, well, I'm having so much fun. Why don't I just do it again? So we are.
Well, we're having so much fun watching her. And do you feel like, because obviously the scratch out of the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, but she comes back into training, looks great. Do you think you have a little bit of unfinished business when it comes to the Breeders' Cup?
We do. I'd like to let the owners of the Derby know that we hope they win the Triple Crown, and then they show up at the Breeders' Cup, and we'll be there.
Wouldn't that be a matchup if we see Nyquist, our most recent Kentucky Derby winner, win the Triple Crown and then take on Beholder? Well, what about California Chrome, too?
Who's that?
Who's that, exactly? He doesn't care. He's got the horse Beholder. How do you do with the nerves? Is it any different with her making her debut in a race where she obviously outclasses the horses versus, say, the Pacific Classic?
Well, it's a totally different kind of anxiety because here everyone expects her to win, so there's more pressure. But the other race was more important. But I don't know if it's more important. I mean, if we don't win this, maybe school's out.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much. The fans love seeing her. We all do, and we really enjoy speaking with you. So thank you again.
Thank you for your comments.
Of course. B. Wayne Hughes of Spendthrift Farm sending out champion Beholder.
Yeah, well, they couldn't take on one Triple Crown winner. Hopefully they get another chance to take on a Triple Crown winner this year.
Exactly, and that's the man there, B. Wayne Hughes, those familiar orange and purple silks. For those of you not aware, his company was Public Storage, and that's the company's colors. So they're adorned aboard his silks there in his Spendthrift farm, and hats off to him for keeping her in training. He didn't have to do this.
It's a sporting gesture.
It really is.
It's fantastic that he brings her back for another year for the fans to enjoy, but she's got a long year in front of her, and it all starts with this effort today. What are you looking for? If you're a trainer of a horse like this, what are you looking for in this effort? Clearly you want her to win, but what do you want?
I want to see a win easy and geared down. I don't want to see an overexerted effort off the layoff. And I just want to see, a really nice performance to prove that she's back to where she was last year. In an effort like the Zenyatta, for instance, where grade 1 event, she's beating My Sweet Addiction. Gary's looking back, he never extended. A replay of this would be nice this afternoon. Just sitting up there and coasting home and getting a nice comeback to the races.
Grade 1 workouts, six-figure afternoons as opposed to zero-figure mornings. I mean, it's a cliche, but that's exactly what she does. And to keep the comparison going with Azeri, I think the similarity between Azeri and Beholder is that they have the ability to effortlessly. I know you hate cruising speed, but they have very high cruising speeds.
They do.
When they're running comfortably and effortlessly, they are going much faster than everybody. There's the Mandela family. Obscured by the odds bar is our friend Andrea Mandela, but her parents, Richard Mandela, the trainer, and his lovely wife are standing by, and they are, look, as enthusiastic fans of their horses as they are caretakers, and Richard takes better care of his animals than anyone else. Hence, Beholder running now at age 6. Here's the Blacker type, Simon, as Christina Blacker bringing us some statistics here. 14 dirt routes, never below a 95 buyer, and her rivals today, 77 lifetime starts with a top buyer of 86.
Yeah, so she's got a 9-point head start on Flavia. Got in the gate.
Yeah, and her 95s are when she's geared down and walking under the wire.
Exactly.
They're all in line. It's the first step back for Beholder.
With them, Moyo Honey, All-Star Bub get away well from the inside 2 post positions. Sheer Pleasure and Beholder moving in tandem to join them. It's a line of 4, with She's Ready under restraint getting back next to last on the outside of Back in the Academy. 4 abreast, Beholder parked out 4 wide at the 7/8 pole, where on the inside Moyo Honey has a slender advantage. Sheer Pleasure moves to second. All-Star Bub eases back and Beholder sits outside her. So now they're in 2 pairs coming past the 3/4 pole. It's Moyo Honey ahead, joined by Sheer Pleasure, and Beholder 2 lengths away third. Sheer Pleasure taking the lead by 3/4 of a length. All-Star Bub running 4th at the 5/8 pole, followed by Back in the Academy, and several lengths to She's Ready along the back stretch, and Sheer Pleasure is the leader. But Beholder is already serving notice, moving up within a half length. Then comes Moyo Honey shifting off the rail. Back in the Academy getting up along the inside to 4th. All-Star Bub relegated to 5th, and a half dozen lengths She's Ready. Into the far turn with 3/8 left to go. At Sheer Pleasure 3/4 of a length. Beholder second. Back in the Academy 2.5 lengths back third from Moyo Honey, who's now out 3 wide. All-Star Bub splits them. Up to the quarter pole, and Beholder within ahead of Sheer Pleasure. Beholder on the outside of Sheer Pleasure, turning for home together by 3 lengths. All-Star Bub, Moyo Honey back in the Academy at the top of the stretch, and Beholder quickly making the race her own, has glided clear under a hand ride. 2 lengths to Sheer Pleasure and 4 lengths to All-Star Bub, then Moyo Honey. Beholder is about 2 lengths in front in the Adoration Stakes, and the racing world is full of adoration for this wonderful mare who's aging like fine wine. Beholder back at age 6 with aplomb, beating Sheer Pleasure and All-Star Bub in the Adoration Stakes of 2016.
Yeah, breathtaking. Clearly, when she does with such ease what some horses will never be able to do in their lifetime. We're running out of superlatives to describe her efforts anymore.
Yeah, it's condescending ease. She was parked 4 wide into the first turn. Gary Stevens got her tucked in as they split up into 2 groups of 2 down the backside, the 2 leading horses, and he was 2 wide in behind, and never in ever a shadow of doubt here. And this was a replay of the Zenyatta. He took a peek back over his right shoulder right there, make sure nobody's coming. Quick peek over your left. Got that horse covered to the inside. Just try and protect her getting home. And he just drops down in the saddle right there, you see? Just to get a little test drive feeler for about 60 yards. You know, filly, go on or mare, go on and just stretch your legs for about 60 yards and coast on home.
The only time she's ever really been opened up was in that TVG Pacific Classic, which she draw off to win by 9. Here's a look at that start. Wasn't the smoothest of beginnings. She came out a little sideways.
She did. She ducked in there, and you can see she kind of scraped the gate, and Gary just had to straighten her out there. But he was intent on getting, letting her do her thing, stretching the legs, not wrangling back. But they were parked 4 wide into this turn. You can see Sheer Pleasure comes up to her inside. And then this time, that's a good shot of it. You can see how wide she is. But once they got around the turn, everybody got themselves in a decent position. And there's the end result.
Yeah, the margin of superiority for her is so large that things that might compromise or bother other horses in other races are purely insignificant, because she could have been 10 wide the entire way around and still just pranced across the winner's circle or across the finish line as she did here. There's a look at Richard Mandela.
That's a big sense of relief. I know it was an easy win, but from a trainer's standpoint, how much work you put into a filly and mare like that, getting it back, it's a big sense of relief.
They're going to go greet the mare as they go into the winner's circle to get their picture taken. But now, step 1 is complete. Step 2, step 3, step 4, all leading to the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, my guess would be the Vanity next here,
Yeah.
June 4th. That's probably next up, Grade 1 event, and a race that's been around here in Southern California for a long time. But look at that, just easy victory and a nice little jog back.
You know what Gary Stevens' license plate cover says, don't you?
Uh-uh.
Oh, yeah. It says, "My other ride is Beholder."
Did it?
Yeah. It's tough to quantify just how talented and gifted she really is, but you see it on the racetrack, and she just dispatches with the greatest of ease any foe that lines up against her. And all systems go for her first step back in her 2016 debut, Simon.
Yeah, it's not fair for the other competition. I kind of feel sorry for them, but they did get some stakes placing, and that was the 5 Sheer Pleasure and the 2 All-Star Bub.
Standing by with the jubilant connections in the winner's circle is our very own Brittany Urton.
Champion Beholder makes her 6-year-old debut a winning one here in the Grade 3 Adoration to the roar of the crowd, and with Hall of Famer Richard Mandel and Hall of Famer Gary Stevens. Richard, I'll start with you. What were the feelings watching her leading up to the gate, watching her going around the track and just come home easy?
It was just nice to see her relax out there. She was a little tense when we saddled her because she's been away a while. But once she got the tack on and got out there, she was fine.
You've done an incredible job managing her. Is it still the game plan to go to the Vanity?
Yes, the Vanity's about a month away, and it's a flat mile, so we can actually freshen her up.
What do you think? I spoke with Wayne Hughes earlier, and he said he'd love to take on the Kentucky Derby winner if that horse becomes a Triple Crown champion in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
There we go.
Sounds like fun, right? Well, Gary, tell us a little bit about how she felt today.
Well, when I got on her, she let out this big sigh, which tells you a horse is relaxed. And I said, "That's my mama." And that was the only thing that was said the whole way to the gate between me and Roberto, except for Lowe. And she left there sweet like she always does. And she went over super, super quiet. I almost thought that I had her too quiet. But Richard does all the work along with Janine and the whole crew, and I get to have all the fun. And that's all that was fun. I had to let her do a little something the last 16th because she wanted to, and she had fun. I had fun.
It looks like even on the gallop out, she doesn't want horses to pass her.
No, she pulled up, and being off as long as she has, it's a tribute to Richard and Mr. Hughes showing this kind of patience. And I think the sky's the limit for her again this year, knock on wood. It's a long year, but she didn't take so much as a deep breath when we pulled up on the backside, and she's a very happy mare.
Well, we're very happy fans here. Beholder, congratulations to both of you. She returns to the track here at Santa Anita, makes it a winning one in the Grade 3 Adoration.
Amongst other things the Hall of Famer does well, Gary Stevens, best post-race interview.
Yeah.
He really is. We should have him do all post-race interviews, even if he's not in the race. Just have him. Can you speak on behalf of this jockey?
Voice him over. June 4th, the Vanity, by the way.
We'll be here waiting to see her. One more look. Slow-mo Beholder cruising in the Adoration.